watching the Y2K show, where they play my kind of videos. Thank you for watching the Y2K show. You're watching the Y2K show, where they play my kind of Y2K show has been entertaining my West Coast for 21 years. Thank you for watching the Y2K show.
Please share our channel with others. Drop a message in the replay. Please support our channel with Cash App.
Thank you for watching the Y2K show.
Hit that like button.
You're watching the Y2K show, where they play my kind of videos. You're watching the Y2K show, where they play my kind of videos. Thank you for watching the Y2K show. You're watching the Y2K show, where they play my kind of videos.
Hit that like button.
You're watching the Y2K show has been entertaining my West Coast for 21 years. Thank you for watching the Y2K show.
Please share our channel with others. Drop a message in the replay. Please support our channel with Cash App.
Thank you for watching the Y2K show.
Hit that
Soy Roberto, El Favorito Gringo, mi pelo es blanco, hecho en San Mateo. Dime cuando ven a México, soy una California oso, más grande de mis sueños. Es un nuevo año, nuevo tiempo, no ratos or latas, no preguntas, preguntas menso. Inteligente pero soy poco loco, fiestas.
Quiet on the set.
just improve myself. Every moment, bless the chance to just improve myself.
Self-improvement, motivation.
Absolutely.
Oh, feel the spirit's movement. Feel them talking to me as I feel. Things I used to do before, I'm no longer need to do anymore. And I found a better way. There's so much more I see. Oh, there's a reason for the seasons change. A reason for those words that sing. A reason that there's no need to explain. Oh, let this day around me. It's a grateful fact that found me. So thankful for the love today. Every moment.
Quiet on the set.
Oh my God. So, I'm so glad you guys are here tonight. We got this going on. I want to say hello to Rocky. I want to say hello to why I don't. Oh my. Where am I at talking? Yeah. Where am I at talking? That's the question. I'm supposed to be talking anyway. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying something brand new today. Yeah. I'm supposed to be talking like this. Y'all bear with me. I'm trying something brand new today. I just realized what I just did here. I'm live on Facebook, and I take it that if I'm going to be live on Facebook, and I'm on live on Instagram. There. That was my problem. Okay. Tonight is not the night for me trying these different. Well, I just need to stop talking about all that. Who all we got in here now? We got Angel, my darling Angel. It's 3:00 in the morning where she's at. We haven't even gotten that far yet, honey. We ain't even caught up with the East Coast yet. Rocky, it's so glad to see you too. One of my newest friends said that I should take my kitchen out of my background. And so I looked around at people that actually show themselves in their lives. Doesn't matter to them what their background is. Does it matter that if I show y'all my toaster and my microwave oven? Because I done got kind of used to that now. You know, I'm sitting I moved the camera over some, so you're not quite seeing a lot of my refrigerator. But the way I was pictured right there in the middle. Hey, Kim, how you doing this evening, Kim? Glad you could make it. Look, I got new faces up in here. You guys say hello to everybody. There's Kim. She's one of my blog. I can't even pronounce that word. Vlog TV friends right there. Y'all say hello to Kim. But as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, it's pretty cool that I'm sitting right in between the overhead blower um, and my refrigerator. I don't see anything else that I'm sitting, but the cabinets. Yeah, it's the way the cabinets fit over my head with the overhead blower that made it look so cool. Oh, we got Kim. Kim, tell me where you at. Where are you, Kim? Because I got Angel up here, one of my favorite people. She was telling me when we first got started, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Look, she says it's like 3 o'clock in the morning where she's at, and now we got Kim here saying good morning to us. So yeah, good morning to you, Kim. We're cool with that. Rocky, what time zone are you in tonight? Because Letitia, I know you somewhere on the East Coast though, right? You're only 3 hours ahead. But look, let me talk to y'all a little bit. You know me. I'm always trying to enlighten us to, Native American history that we might not be so familiar with. But while I was riding the bus this afternoon, I said to myself, Butch, how many people do you think you really know nowadays that would still think that the only way black people ever came to this country was through ships from Africa? Now, I know to some of y'all this might not mean nothing to you, but on the world scheme of things, on the big picture, you have to understand that, I'm not saying this because I'm a Native American, but the whole planet was all filled with copper colored people. I still haven't found any proof that there were, this place was filled with non-melanated people before copper colored people ever got here. I ain't found. I'm still looking for you though, because I'm part. You know, I got too much melanin in my skin tone for you to tell, but yeah, I'm part Irish, Scottish, Irish. Yeah, I'm part of both of them people. And I take it that because I haven't been here forever, that maybe one of my ancestors may have been a European and came over here. Because I know on the other side of me, my mother, her family, it was nothing about slavery. I asked her. She, if I'd have been older, she probably would have cursed me out. But I was a baby. I wasn't born until the mid 50s. Stuff was already in place when I was born. But when I asked her if we was from Africa, she said, we ain't from no damn Africa. I'm like, well, then where are we from? She said, we're from right here. I'm like, huh? That ain't what the TV been showing me. Then as I said that out my lips, I realized I was a bit brainwashed. Okay. Now the other side of our brainwashing is what I want to share with y'all tonight. I don't know. Should I give y'all a hint? We're gonna find out who was the largest slave compound in South Carolina. That's what this show is gonna be about. It's not that long, so I'm running my mouth. And I want to get everybody a chance to get your seat, get your popcorn on, get your favorite drink in your hand, because this is going to be some real tight, fast-moving, never-before-seen history. Well, it's been seen before, apparently, because I found it on Facebook after I found it. I found it on Facebook. I went to Google to get me a photo to use tonight. Y'all see the one I wound up with, because that's the clearest thing I could find. Somebody took that picture way after cameras were created, because none of the pictures prior to cameras being created were good pictures. But in my finding a picture, I was led to Facebook. And man, there are so many people that watched what we're going to see tonight over on Facebook that I had to drop my link Tell them y'all come on over and see me tonight if that's how you feel. You know, and I'm back here in the back because I don't trust going out front. Last time I was out front, I got caught looking over there at that camp. Okay, so Angel says, Papa, my mother is dark, but we don't know any history as my grandparents grew up in an orphanage in Kilkenny X. Where's Kilkenny? And also you saying I rolled 3. Let me see what you're saying over here. Let me show you everybody. Papa, that's where God intended, even if you didn't. I love Angel, y'all. She always got some comedy going, and it's like slapstick and it's automatic. Hey, Andre, welcome back, man. OG Will is me, and Real is you is one of the busiest cats in the internet, man. I had to turn the volume down on Armando, but did he get anybody want to come up or no? Ireland. Yeah. Okay, she says, my mother is dark, but we don't know any history as my grandparents grew up in an orphanage in Kilkenny X, Ireland. Okay, I got that now. I'm caught up. Ireland. Great. So, Angel, say hello to everybody. Everybody say hello to Angel. Angel is one of my, I like to say she's one of my original subscribers when I started in this live podcast from StreamYard. I was in Zoom before I came here to StreamYard. And I want y'all to all say hello because, y'all are my regulars. But Andre, you just got here, and Angel, you just got here. So I'm going to bring this out to y'all again. One of the biggest things that holds us back, I think, in our society, whether you're, in our society, I'm talking about the whole world right now. In the whole world, all the lies that have been told about Americans, Native Americans, indigenous people, by the way. I did a research paper on indigenous people today, and I got to work on it some more because it's from Wikipedia. I find myself now looking at things on various platforms like Google, Wikipedia, Yahoo, and they have those fake pictures and fake information going on that I done found where you can leave a comment to tell them that you need to get more receipts on this information you're putting here. Because one day I'm looking over here on this side of Wikipedia for some information, and they got Abraham Lincoln over there as a white man. Okay, so I had to stop looking because we all know that Abraham Lincoln was a copper-colored man. And then I go over on the other side where somebody is talking about slaves from Africa, and I asked Wikipedia what ships from where, captained by who, brought slaves over here from Africa. Wikipedia hurried up and responded, there is no such thing. We can't find anything that resembles that happening. I'm like, really? No, there's no indication that any ships ever left Africa. And that's Wikipedia. The same people that got the white Abraham Lincoln and the white George Washington up over here. And when I talk like this, because I know I'm looking at my mixed crowd of friends right here. I know that. And Angel, by the way, she just said, that, she told me some time ago that she's a gypsy. And, gypsy is a I don't know if it's a derogatory term, but it's a derivative of the word Egypt. And if you've missed any of my really deep presentations, they say that America is the new old world, meaning that where people write about in their historical books and Bibles, in the Hebrew Bible and things, they talk about having gotten that information from over here. And when you look at in the Aztecs of South America, and you see pyramids there, those pyramids are taller than the ones that are in Egypt. Not to mention that if you look for, if you look for skeletons, like some of my Chinese friends, they always reference how their knowledge goes back 5,000 years. And I was like really curious, like 5,000 years, wow, that's a long time. And then now recently here in America, they done found some bones that was 12,500 years old. And there's another video or reading that I see on the horizon coming our way, is that in the Grand Canyon, there's exploratory going on in the Grand Canyon. So let me hold on a second here. Let me see who wants to be on the Y2K show on the cell phone. Good evening, caller. You are calling the Y2K show. How can I help you?
Hey, what's up?
You are, sir. You're what's up.
Hey, Pop said, how can I help you, BFF?
That's because neither one of you two are in this broadcast over here. And so I have to treat you like your customers calling in to the show.
Oh, my God. What's up, Poppy?
So y'all either gonna have to hang up and get over here in this show or be put on mute while I talk so nobody can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, get on over here in this show.
I didn't know you was live. I just got off work.
Oh, I can dig it. She didn't tell you? I done gave Teehee a post on everything I have on her, and that's on God, right? God said, get her over there on WhatsApp. So I hit her. He said, oh, she's over there on your YouTube pages. Get her on each one. So I hit her on each one of my YouTube pages today and the group pages, telling her, hey, I'm doing it today. I ain't going to miss this. Y'all don't want to miss this. So thank you for getting off of work and get on in here because I ain't even lit it up yet.
Oh, man, I'm lighting it up right now. I thought we was going to do it. Okay, all right. Anyway, BFF, when you
all day. And Teehee, I can tell that you're over there eating. They can hear y'all. The people in the show can hear you. They hear you munching. Stop munching in the phone, Teehee.
The only noise Pop hears is everybody else but his own. He never hears his own noise.
Oh no, I always hear mine I always hear mine.
Y'all hit that like button, support the Y2K show because we out here
right now.
I always take up for my sounds, but it's when you ask me what my sound is. Drop the link, please. Okay, here. Let me get Angel up here. Drop her a link.
Love, Papa Will, 100. You know, salute and respect to the mods and chat. Hit that like button. Hit the like.
Yeah. Oh, y'all in the show and you talking to me on the phone? Y'all are a mess.
I see the queen. I see you, queen.
You guys are a mess. Look at y'all. There's my people. There's my people. Say hello, everybody. Our show isn't 3 hours long tonight, so I'm kind of trying to get an hour in where we just hang out because Michael said that Linda, aside from the fact that her sugar was low today and she couldn't get to the phone almost, you know, I told her maybe we better send you back some of these Snickers candy bars you sent me, you know, because you know, but she said that I should put a backdrop up because, you know, seeing me in my kitchen is something. I don't know what Michael didn't say what she said that was, but I mean, you know, what do y'all think? What happened to you, Angel? I dropped that link.
BFF, you still there?
I'm right here.
Oh, wow.
What? Wait a minute. What did I do? You said it hit drop the link. You know, drop y'all's links. If y'all got pages, drop your links. Cause I thought I was dropping the link to get up here on this panel with me. Yeah, that's her. Look at her. She's so happy to be back. But
Real love, Angel, man.
I do too. She's I've actually talked to Angel live, so that makes her a real friend of mine. Y'all know that, right?
Hey man, Angel Haddon is the shit. What's
Yep.
up, Angel?
And realist, don't you be trying to, hey, where did y'all go? Andre, realist, y'all get back in here, man. You know, I know y'all are quiet, but you know, when you don't have any comments, I think maybe it'll flip the channel on me again. But really, what do y'all think, man? You know, do you think that I'm looking kind of cheap because my background is my kitchen and it's not a studio?
No, hey, we've been sitting and spitting in the kitchen for 20 years.
Well, that's what I told him to tell her. You know, it's the sitting and spitting in the kitchen that we've been doing for almost 25 years. That's what we do.
Thank you, Angel. Hopping my link. I sent you in the building. If you can hear me in the chat, Angel, you're a sweetheart. Thank you.
She said she's gonna come up, man. We're gonna, for the first time ever in 2 years, Angel is gonna be live in the chat room. I ain't lying. She just told me. But I appreciate you dropping links because I look at Sirius. She be in Nate's chat. She be in D-Truth chats. She be in Amondo's chat. And Sirius be in there dropping links and doing all them cool things in there in the chat. And I'm like, damn, how did I lose another friend? Where is my Angel at? What man, next year, I'm telling you, next year, T-He, you're gonna have to get up on the panel.
I'm right here.
Mm-hmm.
How are everyone feeling tonight?
We feeling great. It's a pleasure to have you on the channel, BFF. I mean, just your voice. I mean, who you are. You're in the background all the time. But just to have you on the show, man, that's what's up, man.
That is what's
Shout
up.
out to Big Papa Will. Thank you, KY. Thank you, KY, for everything you've done. Amen. God bless everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time tonight. Is we going to do some karaoke tonight, BFF?
Yes, we are.
Oh yeah, it's Friday night over there, ain't it?
And what song you gonna sing?
Yeah, man. This is Northern California, man. We about to do some karaoke.
Yeah. I was talking to some people at the hospital today about that, being back in California.
I wish Doc was here.
Or moving.
I would rather be in Vegas. I ain't gonna front. I would rather be in Las Vegas right now going to karaoke.
I know you would because see, with T-He and her financial background, you could sell your house, buy a house over here that we all can live in and have rooms left for the kids for what your house is worth over there in California.
Okay, we'll always be there. I don't know about the other tenants, but we'll be there.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
You know, and with that specialty in education that you have obtained, I know you'd walk in here and they would hire you right off the block. You wouldn't even have to mention my name. That's how easy it would be for you to get that job over here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm mentioning both of y'all names, so.
Mhm.
What's up, Michael? I see you in the building. What's up, Michael, man? I'm so proud of you, man. Honored, man. Honored. One of the best entertainers that I've ever met in Y2K.
Me too.
Flat out. Hey, BFF. Michael is better than the headliner.
He sure is. 2 times in a row he showed that. He showed that 2 times in a row. Blam, blam, son. You should be giving me part of that money they gave you because you ain't rated for being here. You didn't even rate. Mm-hmm.
Michael is so talented, bro.
Yeah.
I wish that him and Lester T could get together, Bob, and do something, BFF.
What town is Lester in? Is Lester over here or he's still over there? Hold on, I gotta ask Realist a question. Realist, are you still here, OG? I know you gave me my like, but I like talking to Realist. So I'm just gonna talk to him like he's still in here, you know?
Shout out to the Realist boy, man.
Yeah, because see, I like.
He been down from the jump. Shout out to the Word. Shout out to Nathan Gray. Shout out to Armando Black. Shout out to D Truth, man. Shout out to the whole 20 East, man. Shout out to Mr. Skinny, man. Shout out, man. Man, I miss it, man. The people, man. People.
Yeah. Hey, so tonight Armando was live for his last time. That anybody that had, I'm just using this as a commercial, fair use, y'all, fair use, to come on down to the line and get it over with so that he could get on. And you know what? He said, so that we could get on with helping people grow. And you know what? I knew instantly he was talking about Big Rob, you, me, L, B-Rob. He was talking about us, Because, man, I sure...
I expect Armando to talk about us, Papa Will, because, man, this dude was in my ear for 7 months, man, for real, man, every day. That's my dude, man. Salute to him, man.
Yeah, because, I feel...
What happened to Armando? He ain't working no more?
No. What happened is, and I don't... Well, this ain't even fun. Like I said, fair use. This is advertisement, okay? This is for educational purposes only. I said that one day Armando would run out of these people that thought that they could get negative with him and grow channels.
No.
That was my concept of those guys. Is they gonna? Yeah, and by the time. Like me, what is one of my famous sayings? Hey, if I'm talking and then somebody else starts talking, I'm going to stop talking.
Shut the fuck up.
Why? Because now I'm listening.
Making
a decision whether I want to keep talking to you or not. Because if I don't want to talk to you no more, I'm going to say something to you that's going to make you shut the fuck up.
That's real.
And that's how Armando is, He let whatever those cats said. Now I ain't blowing toot no horn, but like I said, I'm in this side of this relationship that I believe that Armando is gonna help utilize us in a more powerful manner. Meaning that all of us.
No out, man. I mean, I can honestly say that I believe in Armando. Like I don't know, unlike anybody else that's on this in this sector, like Armando showed me some shit I'll never speak. You know, him, Cat Daddy, you, BFF. I mean, showing me some things that I won't even speak it, man. You know, feel me? Because it's so real to this shit that we do.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have tough skin, and you gotta be about your business, and you gotta stay in your lane, and you know what I'm saying, and shit like that.
You can't be too loud.
Yeah, you can't be too loud. You know.
Well,
might be a fella.
Well, now what I'm trying to say is, you know, I'm talking way out of the bounds of, but I'm looking at who's in here, and that's why I did a call on the other people that were here. Kim, raise your hand if you are here. Letitia, I can appreciate. I don't even know how many likes I've got, how many people it says is in here. You know, I'm just back here with y'all. You know, somebody subbed up to me. I got 412 again. I'm up to 412 again this year.
Congratulations, Bob.
Thank you very much. I'm up to 412. And
you're gonna get to 500 real soon, bro. And then here comes the memberships and things like that. Bro.
Yeah. You know what? In view of that, you know what YouTube has said to me? That this song you have in your video from last year, when you become monetized, you're not going to get monetized for that song. I don't want to get monetized. Get monetized. Nigga, I'm homogenized already.
We gonna figure that shit out. How come I can't share YouTube videos on YouTube when I'm using YouTube? Like, what the fuck? I can understand if I wasn't using YouTube and I wanted to share some shit.
Right.
But if I'm on YouTube, share YouTube shit to my YouTube audience, why are y'all tripping?
That is a great statement you just made there, Kalani. Is that I'm on YouTube using videos on YouTube. Why are you copyrighting me and striking me for using? I did just the opposite of what you just said, though, come to think of it. I said, y'all should restrict all copyrighted music off of YouTube. You should just take it off. Because if a podcaster can't share your music that drives other people to your music, but had to suffer a negative count on me, then y'all need to cut that out, because I'm trying to grow up in here, man. I'm trying to grow up in YouTube. You got this old ass music stuck up in here talking about you can't use it, you know? I got Facebook now. Let me get back on that little bitch ass nigga too. I got Facebook now going all the way back to 2022 from December 31st, 2022. No. Yeah. Ain't that the year when we used the Prince's song, We're Gonna Party Like It's 1999?
Man, we said that back in 1999.
We sure did, but look, when there was no such thing as a Facebook done growed up and cut my video saying that the owners of that song don't want me playing that song in my video.
You know what, BFF? Pops, I remember back in the days. You there, BFF? Hello. Okay. BFF off the line. Hold on.
She fell off the line. Oh, here's Angel. Add to the stage. I'm sorry, honey. I just went downstairs looking for you.
Who's backstage?
Angel.
What's up, Angel? Where's she at?
She's up here with this A upside her forehead like she's a member of the Avengers. But her mic ain't muted. And I got her up here. Nope. Take her off of that. And there she is.
What's up?
And let's just wait till she says something, because somehow she's back there on her side of the world. Well, I can't tell what's happening. But anyway, like I'm saying, they done went all the way back and toured 1999 and the remix of 5 on it, when I've done shows with everybody on the original song and then hung out with Yuck Mouth smoking weed in Berkeley when we did that autograph signing with Devin the Dude. But that's what I'm saying. He said is that from now on that shit is toast. They got their last night tonight. And I stayed as long as I could, and then I rushed over here to see Angel sitting in the audience right by the curtain, ready to come up backstage. My goodness. See, that's why I pray all day, every day, and I never get mad about nothing because I got good coming to me from the bottom of the depths of the world's existence. And oh, by the way, while I'm saying this, indigenous people, it turns out that the word Indian is a derivative by the Spanish and the Portuguese that couldn't pronounce indigenous properly. It's calling them Indias and Indios. I learned that one today too.
Is that Scorpio, Mama? Hey.
What? Is that Scorpio Mama? Where's? Oh, there she is. But that's not our original Scorpio, is it? Scorpio lady. Hello, Scorpio. Hello, Scorpio Mama. I'm just checking.
Okay. What's happening? Salute. Shout out.
Shalawan. Oh, okay. Right on, Scorpio lady or Scorpio Mama. Uh-oh. Now I got a new angel over here. Angel, is that the good emoji, or the A one is gonna be the one you're gonna? Scorpio lady, you would. I know you don't know that I missed you, but I spent almost all year on strikes, timed out last year, and some of it was some of y'all's fault. Like Kalani, it was, some of it was his fault.
Hey, I feel you. If I was the president of a company and some shit went down, I'd look over at the vice president and be like, why didn't you stop all this?
Yeah. Didn't you see that crap of bullshit on this way over here at us? Didn't you? Tell the truth. Didn't you? Salute, Glitch. I didn't see you up there. You was hiding behind some side that says hide current comments, and I had to see through that with my X-ray vision. So how you doing this? And get on up here. Get on up here, Glitch. I'm doing the best I can, y'all, tonight. But I'm always so nervous. I am so nervous to come up here and just speak like I'm doing right now, because I'm afraid that the way I talk might have an influence on a person, might turn them, might change them. And they may wind up walking around in society saying, man, you sound like you've been brainwashed. And I don't want it to go down like that on me.
Hey, Pop, you remember in 1999 when we had that show and it was time for me to go on stage?
Yeah.
And I was feeling the exact same way you just said right now. Getting in front of people and talking and doing all this shit is different than when I'm with my circle.
I know that's what you were saying. And that's why I was able to say it to you, because you know me, man. I've been in the military, dude. I've been in the Army. I've had to give out instructions. I've had to open my mouth and count cadence on the PT field. So when I say that, what I mean is this: in a very militaristic manner, all I would be saying would be self-improvement shit.
Yeah.
You know, that don't quite jive with what the other people are saying is what you should self-improve yourself about. So what do? I don't never talk about other people's shows. Comedians don't do that. You know, that was one thing in Vegas that they thought they was informing me of, but that's how it is. You know, comedians can't tell each other's jokes. You know, if you tell a joke, I can't come back and tell that joke and call myself like I'm doing that joke better than you or something. It's your joke. So
Is Angel here, Bob?
she keep popping up and down. Here's something that says A on it. Can you see that, Seven? Can you see that?
Yeah.
And I hear somebody's voice in here other than mine. Can you hear that?
I can. I see Scorpio lady in the chat. I see Angel
On the panel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Angel is up here, but I don't know. She sounds like she hasn't finished her dinner or something. She's eating up the crumbs of what's left. See, because if T was up here, I would think it's her, but T ain't up here, so it's got to be Angel. You know.
Hello, Papa.
There it is. Hello. Y'all get your hands together and welcome Miss
I don't know
Angel.
if you can hear me. I can't hear you. Dang.
You hear her, Seven? Uh-oh, she done popped out again already. How does that keep happening? Well, she might be on her phone, so let's don't, like we had those shows where everybody was telling me, well, Papa Will, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I'm like, man, I'm 10 seconds ahead of whatever you thought you was going to hear. And I just paused for a second thinking that I could pause and let what you hear catch up to me. And then when I start talking again, you would get it right then. But it didn't work that way. You know? And so.
Okay. Hey, thank you for coming by, Scorpio lady. Sub up.
Yeah, Scorpio Mama, we got to get practice on that Mama part. You know, let's just focus on the Scorpio right now because we know it's you. Yeah, come on up here and hit this panel. Let me get this invite down there to you. Come on up here and hit this panel. There you go. There's another link.
Oh, I see you, Bob. Hey, man, I'm going to jump back in the chat. I appreciate you for having me and BFF up here, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna get going with the show then here in a minute, man. And then I see what I got here. You know, I'm gonna go over here and talk to everybody like everybody else do. Ooh, there's 5 people watching. Hey, y'all hit that link, honey. Hit that link, and y'all hit that like button. You know, there's only there's a couple of y'all. You know, can't nobody leave until the
Angel. I didn't mean to overtalk you, Pop. I apologize, brother. I'm gonna jump back in the chat, but Angel, man, shout out to you for always being solid. Scorpio lady, shout out to you for always being solid. I hope y'all subscribe up. And if y'all want to hit the link, hit the link. Y'all hit that like button, everybody in the bushes. You know what I'm saying? One love to you, Pop, for doing your thing, man. And thank you for the lessons and all that shit, bro. Keep doing what you're doing. Make it great. If you guys watch this, The Word, Armando, D Truth, Mr. Skinny, man, you guys know what it is, man. It's your boy Seb, Kalani Management. All right, Bob.
All right. Well, y'all say goodnight to Kalani. And now it's time to get out the cards and deal this incredible hand of this most intriguing show that we're going to have here tonight, okay? You are going to, and I expect to see lots of comments over here from you guys on the side because this is going to be an incredible show.
Teeth are jacked. There in the back, there's
Well, now this is the book Free Negro Owners of Slaves in the United States in 1830, together with Absentee Ownership of Slaves in the United States in 1830, compiled under direction and edited by Carter G. Woodson, editor of the Journal of Negro History. Carter G. Woodson, all right? History, again, yes, Free Negro Owners of Slaves. Hey, what? What are they saying? Yeah, black masters. And we're on page 31. We're in the South Carolina section, South Carolina. And down here we have in Sumter County. I'm going to show the census that we have the correct person. William Ellison says he has 4 and 12 total slaves. All right, 12 total slaves. William Ellison, a person of color that owned slaves, the main character in our video today. South Carolina Plantations.com or South-Carolina-Plantations.com is listing a lot of the famous plantations in South Carolina. This is in the Sumter County. All right, we just saw him living in Sumter County, right? William Ellison on the census there, 1830. And right here we have the Ellison Plantation, as you can see, also called the Miller House, Wisdom Hall. And this is the Ellison Plantation, Sumter County. This is a picture of the modern house today, as it looks. Again, in South Carolina, also known as Ellison Plantation for owner William Ellison. Now it says here, Ellison was mulatto and born into slavery. At the age of 12, Ellison began an apprenticeship. Remember what I told you about apprenticeship? Oh, so now they want to say he's a slave because he was doing an apprenticeship, right? With a cotton gin maker and became highly skilled. He got really good at it. Ellison made repairs to cotton gins at plantations in the early, earning tips and some wages for his work. By 1816, he had earned enough money to buy his freedom. And in 1817, he purchased and freed his wife, Matilda, and daughter, Eliza Ann. So he bought his family. The Ellisons had 3 sons born in freedom. All right, Ellison said the Ellison gin was used across the South. He was very popular with this gin. He had one of the biggest, or if not the biggest, cotton plantation. William Ellison, again in the Ellison Plantation. It said he was an apprentice and he was born a slave. Oh, we're going to look into that. Is this all conjecture, the slavery part? We know he was an apprentice. It's mentioned a lot. We're at this other website. It's called the historyengine.richmond.edu. All right. And it says Black Owning Blacks, the story of William Ellison. This is from 1857, Sumter County, economic inequality to free blacks raised from slavery, human trafficking just in today, University of Richmond. It says down here that by 1850, Ellison had 37 slaves while his son owned another 16. He was one of about 180 black slave masters in South Carolina. He was just one of 180 at that time in South Carolina, most of whom were former slaves themselves. Most were former slaves. Oh, really? Does that mean they were African black slaves? Could they have been maybe European indentured servants as well? Possibly American Indian indentured servants? All of the above. So we'd have to look at every case individually to see who these people were and why they were slaves. That could mean they were indentured servants from Europe or Indian indentured servants. Either way, we know they weren't going to Africa to grab these people. It's called No Chariot Let Down. Charleston's Free People of Color on the Eve of the Civil War. Edited by Michael P. Johnson and James L. Rourke. And real quick right here, in the introduction of the book, see an original letter right here, primary source. let me just read this part right here. It says the letters are the correspondence of the extraordinary Ellison family. The patriarch of the family, William Ellison, was born a slave in 1790, but by the time of the Civil War, he was the wealthiest free Negro in South Carolina and owned more slaves than any other free Negro in the entire South, except Louisiana. All right, Louisiana, very prominent free people of color, slave owning families. All right. In 1816, Ellison bought his freedom from his white master, Dodge the Hijack, who may have been his father. Whoa, in parentheses, right? Now, all of a sudden, it may have been his father, actually. So he bought, hey, dad, here, I'm going to buy my freedom. Here's the money. Why would he have to pay his dad money to buy his freedom? Who may have been his father. All right, because you're thinking he's a white master, right? And you're thinking, oh, must have raped his slave, right? That's conjecture. We're gonna see what I'm talking about again. Who may have been his father? They don't know. They don't know, right? Or they're letting you know subliminally. It was his own father who had him on so-called slavery, and immediately moved from Fairfield District to Stateburg, a tiny aristocratic village about 40 miles away in the high hills of the Santee. So he got his freedom and he moved his gin business in one of the most aristocratic villages, actually. It was actually the most. You got to read into it. Some 100 miles inland from Charleston. All right, so very close to Charleston, but, in the suburbs. Ellison set up businesses as a cotton gin maker, a trade he had learned as a slave. Oh, he learned that as a slave, so they taught a slave how to do cotton and read and all that, right? They taught a slave. Oh, we'll see what they actually call it later on. Remember what I'm talking about. Surrounded by the great planters and plantations of Sumter and adjoining districts, Ellison's gin business grew with the cotton boom until by 1835. Cotton plantation, black owner, so-called black. He was prosperous enough to purchase the home of Stephen D. Miller, the former governor of the state. Ellison lived in the house until his death in 1861. By then, although he remained a gin maker, he had himself become a big planter, making 100 bales of cotton with 63 slaves on over 800 acres of land. All right. Ellison's house, which still stands, remained in the family until 1920. And it was under this house 15 years later that the Leffelman girls discovered the letters. All right, so these are the famous letters. We basically wouldn't know anything about William Ellison, I believe. Before that, it wasn't even known if he was a colored man. So if it wasn't for them finding these letters, they would have just assumed, again, like everybody else that was a so-called slave owner, that he was white. But because of the letters, it proves that he was a person of color. It says the Ellison family letters are unique. They are the only extant collection of a sustained correspondence between members of a free Afro-American family in the latter antebellum South. All the letters were written by free persons of color to free persons of color. James Marsh Johnson, William Ellison's son-in-law, wrote most of the letters, although letters from several other correspondents are sprinkled throughout the collection. Nearly all the letters were addressed to William Ellison's eldest son, Henry. He lived in the family compound in Stateburg with his father, his sister Eliza Ann, James Ann Johnson's wife, his two brothers, William Jr. and Reuben, and the senior Ellison's several grandchildren. In all, there are 37 complete letters in the correspondence. 6 are scattered between 1848 and 1858. 26 were written between November 1859 and December 1860. 2 were written during the Civil War, and 3 others were written afterwards. It is a the rest of the 250,000 free Afro-Americans in the late antebellum South on the vagaries of time and on the long history of interracial suspicion, tension, and conflict that a meager 37 letter to one free Negro family are the most to appear in the last century and a quarter. What I decided to do is look for William Ellison's descendants, the closest ones, I guess, to our modern time. I didn't want to go too far in. I guess, that stuff is private. Start out here with Amelia Bell Ellison. born 1920, passed on 2009. Rest in peace. And when you go into Amelia Bell Ellison, it says she's from North Carolina, ended up in Ohio, and I got a couple of census and facts here. It says that her parents are Henry Shrewsbury Ellison and Margaret Maggie Bell Rogers. All right, and this is the 1930 United States Federal Census for Amelia Ellison, and this is her family right here. We zoom in. Amelia's right here as the daughter of Henry Ellison and Margaret, right? We just saw her as the parents. So from Amelia, again, we get Henry Shrewsbury Ellison and Margaret as Margaret Bell Rogers, okay? Let's go into Henry real quick. This is a close-up of Henry. So you can see Henry Shrewsbury Ellison. And this is a close-up of his wife, Margaret Bell Rogers Ellison. Now back to Henry, her husband. We got a couple of census here: 1880 United States Federal Census, 1910, 1930. All right, and some other stuff. His death certificate. Let me just see this one real quick. And this is his actual death certificate. This is another way to verify information. And again, I got the full name right here: Henry Ellison. It says full name. Color is colored, right? His spouse is Margaret Ellison, right? We already verified that. He was born April 13th, 1883, so we can verify that. And then it says his dad is Henry Ellison, also named Henry Ellison, and Amelia Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury, that's how he got his middle name, Henry Shrewsbury Ellison, all right? So his parents are listed here, so we can continue the line. Again, his father, as you can see here on the side, father, Henry Ellison, mother, Amelia Shrewsbury, and his spouse, Margaret Ellison. Again, to Henry Shrewsbury Ellison, and again here, parents, Henry Ellison and Amelia Ann Shrewsbury Ellison. All right, so we continue. Now we get into 1817. Look at this. So again, from Henry Ellison and Margaret Bell, I mean, she has her own tree. We can follow that. Just going up the Ellison line again. We got Henry Ellison and Amelia Shrewsbury. All right, so we're going to keep going up. Remember, we came from Amelia to Henry to the other Henry Sr., and his dad, William Holmes April Ellison. Parentheses April. So this is the famous William Ellison. So we're going to read some of the stories that they have here on Ancestry regarding William Holmes April. It says William Holmes April Ellison was born in 1790 in Fairfield, South Carolina, which was 40 miles northwest of the High Hills, to William Holmes Ellison and Mary Harrison. All right, so this person is saying that his dad is William Holmes Ellison and Mary Harrison. He married a woman named Matilda, and together they had the following children: Eliza Marie William Holmes III and Reuben Ellison. All right, this is another story. It says here, from slave to entrepreneur. April born in 1790 to black slave parents. Remember, we just came from that other story that said that William Holmes Ellison and the other lady, Mary Ann Harrison, was his mom, right? Here it's saying black slave parents. And he was owned by William Ellison, a white slave owner, right? Conjecture. Where's the proof? Often children of slaves were named for the month in which they were born. Around 1802, Ellison apprenticed April to William McCrae, a gin maker in Winsboro, South Carolina. All right, so he got apprenticed. Remember what that means? That always means slavery. And were parents doing it with their children? Yes, they were, right? He was to be trained as a cotton gin builder and repairer. Very little is known about April's life beyond his apprenticeship. Very little. They don't know much, but he said they have black slave parents, but he don't know nothing. The person writing this, you see what I'm saying? So what? Conjecture. Very little is known about April's life beyond his apprenticeship, except in 1811 he had a daughter by Matilda, a 16-year-old slave woman. All right. And what's the source? Johnson and Work. We're going to get into that book. April worked in McCrae's gin shop until 1816, learning how to be a blacksmith, a machinist, and a carpenter, skills required of a gin maker. In addition to learning to be a master gin builder, during his apprenticeship with McCrae, April learned to read, write, cipher, and do bookkeeping. Indeed, McCrae had provided April with all the skills, both intellectual and mechanical, necessary for independent success as a gin maker. Johnson and Roar. We're going to get into that book. April's long-term apprenticeship in gin making prepared him for freedom. Not only did he become a master gin builder, but also he learned how to get along with the white planters. Now they add in their conjecture. April aspired to be successful as a free black gin maker. He had to understand the ways of the whites. Oh, really? We just saw the other census, right, showing all those so-called black slave owners, not just white people around in that same county. All right. So again, he was prepared. He was given an apprenticeship. He was prepared to carry on a family business. Okay. Why was he being so prepared? All right. He had an apprenticeship.
I just wanted to stop here for a minute and say something. You know, Angel finally made it, y'all. Say hello to Angel. She's up here live on stage, you know, in the background with me, being the lovely and talented.
Hi,
Tell them.
Papa. Can you hear me?
Hey, honey, how you doing? Good evening
I'm
to you
not too
too.
bad. Do you know what? I just had the most dreadful experience. I come on, I couldn't remember my password or anything, and I was logged out. I had to create a whole new account, and if anyone knows me, I'm dyslexic, and I've got dyscalculia as well, so I've got to type in all these numbers. I was like, help me. And is that Scorpio lady? Hi, Scorp.
Go ahead, I'm
Love
listening.
you.
Huh?
Sorry.
Yeah, this is the
It was the
first
most
both y'all
dreadful.
have been back here.
It was the most dreadful experience ever.
Yeah, this is the first time you and her. Wait, I don't have. No, keep on talking. I'm just spacing out because you're here now, you know. And
You're like,
I'm so
finally, where
glad
was
that she
she?
decided to stay too.
I bet you wanted to hit me over the head with a big club.
Only if it was a dance club and we was out in the middle of the night somewhere and we was all getting our vibe on, you know, I might hit you with some bad
We can both go
moves
out
I
and
got
break
on
some
the dance
hips,
floor.
eh?
Huh?
That's what I'd be doing at the moment. Let me see if I can see this chat. I'm not very good on this thing, but I'll try my best.
Yeah, I'm not very good at finding
Nope,
my
it's
son's
not coming up for me.
music on YouTube either. You know, he has some incredible songs on YouTube, but I always wonder if I have those same songs on my account, y'all. But let's get
Sorry,
back here to
Papa.
the
I'm trying to get
story,
onto this chat
and
and it's not.
we can
I'm
just
clicking
talk
on
and
it, but
text
it's not
back here in the
coming
back, okay?
up.
Who's not coming? What? Yeah. So we're back. We're back live, y'all. Let's get back off of here and get
All
up.
right. So real quick, I want to bring you to this website. It's a website that comes up a lot when you're searching about William Ellison. It says the Ellison Family Graveyard here, Statesburg, Sumter County, South Carolina. All right, so this is the historical cemetery, I guess, for the family. All right, and this is by this person right here, Anita Martin, photographs by Gloria Laus. All right, fair use. And some more of the graveyard here. So it says here, William Ellison Jr. All right, Jr. They call him Jr. They're not saying he's a slave of William Ellison. They're saying Jr. So there will be a William Ellison Sr., right? Now, right here it says at birth, William Ellison Jr. was given the name of April. It was popular practice among the slaves of the period to name a child after the day of month for his or her birth. It is known that between the years 1800 and 1802, April was owned by a white slave owner named William Ellison. All right, conjecture. son of Robert Ellison of Fairfield County in South Carolina. It is not documented as to who his owner was before that time. They don't know. All right, listen to that key word right there. So again, conjecture, right? It can only be assumed, that William Ellison, a planter of the Fairfield district, was either the father or the brother of William Ellison Jr. All right, you hear that? This website's telling you it could only be assumed because there's no record of him being owned, so we have to make assumptions, right? So if they're going to be making assumptions, who's to say their assumptions are right or wrong, right? So they're saying the father or the brother. They're actually saying that William Holmes, the one who's supposed to be his owner, is actually his father or his brother, meaning he might be the son of Robert Ellison, which is what the other William Ellison's father. All right. So he might actually be the son of Robert Ellison, and that might be his brother. All right. All of a sudden, that's his brother or father. Again, remember that. We read that earlier too. So again, they don't know. And what happens? Conjecture happens. Freedman of Sumter County. April had his name changed to William Ellison by the courts, obviously in honor of William Ellison of Fairfield, obviously in honor of his dad, obviously. Why are they saying obviously? Why would somebody name themselves after their slave master? I don't know. That don't make sense to me. At the age of 10, William April Ellison was apprenticed. He was apprenticed again by who? By his, and he was trained as a car engine builder and repair. He spent 6 years training as a blacksmith and carpenter, and he also learned how to read and write. All right, so we got the same story already. Says there are no records showing the purchase of April. All right, listen to this. Says there are no records showing the purchase of April, later William Ellison of Sumter, by William Ellison of Fairfield. All right, there's no proof that he bought where he got William. There's no proof where William Ellison, if that was his slave, where he got him from. There's no record of purchase or anything like that. All right. It is unknown as to how long April was owned by William Ellison. It is known that William Ellison of Fairfield inherited a large estate from his father Robert, and that the slaves of the estate named in the will were left to his siblings. It is possible that Robert Ellison gave several slaves to his son before his death, so they would not have needed to have been mentioned in his will. All right, so again, what's going on? They're assuming it's all conjecture. William owned several slaves according to the census records. Both Robert and William were of age to have been able to be the father of April. So now listen to what they're telling you. All of a sudden, he's not just a slave. He might be the son of either his grandfather or his dad, the owner, supposed to be the white owner, right? Remember, he was just a white owner. And remember, he was born to black parents. Now, all of a sudden, he might be the son of I thought he was a white slave owner. And who's to say they were white? That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's all conjecture. April was trained as a machinist, and he became a well-known cotton gin maker. Upon receiving his freedom, he decided to pursue his expertise in Sumter County, South Carolina, where found an eager market for his trade. He is well known for perfecting the cotton gin invented by Eli Whitney. He perfected it. So, all right, so back in the tree, we were coming from Amelia all the way up to Henry and Henry, and then William Ellison, the famous April, right? The famous April. I just want to show you, this is in Waikiki Tree website as well, and I found this, and it's listed April William Ellison, right? The son of William Holmes Ellison, right? The son of William Holmes Ellison. They're not saying he's a slave. And mother unknown. They're saying unknown mother. All right, has his parents also listed as William Holmes Ellison and Mary Ann Harrison. All right. Now, I want you to pay attention to something. It tells you here that he died in 1861. He was born in 1790, right? So he should have been alive in 1850. And he's from Fairfield County. We found William Holmes Ellison in 1850, Fairfield County. Now, first, let's go to his supposed dad or brother, right? William Holmes Ellison. Says he was born in 1775 and he died in 1830. Real quick, William Holmes Ellison, 1833. Waikiki Tree has the same. Died in 1833, Fairfield, South Carolina. Find a Grave also has him dying in 1833, you see. the son of Robert Ellison and Sarah Elizabeth Potts. 1833, his dad supposedly died, or his brother, at the age of 57. In 1833, he was only 57 in 1833. Jeannie also has him as 1833, and most every other thing has him as listed as 1833. Main reason for that is because there's a probate supposed will. This is the supposed will and testament of William Ellison, that he supposedly, it says probate date 1833. That's when he made this or wrote this, because he actually wrote that in this letter that he's writing this on 1833. All right, so that's not the year he died. So I haven't found a death record for him other than this probate, and that's what most of everybody that gets basing that he died in 1833. So let's say, okay, he did die in 1833. So we're gonna go back to his supposed son or brother, William Holmes, the so-called slave, April, right? We have an 1850 U.S. federal census slave schedule for Fairfield County. We know that we're gonna read. He's from Fairfield County. That's where William Ellison was at. And that's where he had his slaves. We got his federal 1850 U.S. federal census slave schedule for William H. Ellison, right? H. Ellison. Wait a minute, I thought he was supposed to be dead in 1833. It's called Black Masters, a free family of color in the Old South, by Michael P. Johnson and James L. Rourke. Now remember, this book is actually like the main source for this person's story. So I just wanted you to see the actual source, and we're gonna, read into this, see what sources they have, what are they telling us, if this is the main source, right? So it says in chapter 1, April's story. Because on June 20, 1820, April Ellison appeared on the steps of the Sumter District Courthouse in Sumterville, South Carolina. He had left his home and traveled 12 miles east over dusty, rutted roads to present a petition to Judge William Henry de Saucer. April had a simple request. He wanted a new name. April Ellison, his lawyer, explained at the hearing, was a freed yellow man of about 29 years of age. Emancipated 4 years earlier, he had moved to Stateburg in Sumter District, where he was endeavoring to preserve a good character and gain a livelihood by honest industry in the trade of gin making. His name hampered these ambitions because April was recognizable to all as a slave name. A change of names, his lawyer argued, although apparently unimportant, would yet greatly advance his interest as a tradesman. A new name would also save him and his children from degradation and contempt, which the minds of some do and will attach to the name of April. Because of the kindness of his former master, William Ellison, and as a mark of gratitude and respect for him, April asked to change his name to William. All right, so April, so they're saying there's a court. All right, we got a footnote here. We're going to verify that footnote. All right, so we're at the notes of the books, and in chapter 1, it says here that footnote for 1, that court record, supposedly where he wanted to change his name, was in the Court of Equity, Sumter District, on June 20, 1820, miscellaneous records, book D, 369, SCDAH. So if you guys can help me with that, all right, see if anybody can find that, if there's an actual case like that, that would be interesting. Let's go back. Continues, says, when he presented his petition, April Ellison lived on the western edge of Sumter District, in or near Stateburg, in a tiny village perched in the high hills of the Santee, a narrow ridge of rolling hills along the east bank of the watery river, renowned for beauty, a healthy climate, and fertile soils. The high hills attracted some of the earliest settlers of the Carolina back country, so he was in a good place. By the first decades of the 19th century, the hills were dense with cotton plantations, cotton planters and their slaves. In 1820, Afro-Americans, so-called Afro-Americans, made up nearly 2/3 of Sumter District's total population of 25,000. All right, is that true? But slaves numbered 16,343,000, while free Negroes like Ellison numbered only 382. All right, we'd have to verify that, because we do know, again, they were labeling a lot of people of color white, and 10 years later, they will become black. Because why did this free yellow man live in the aristocratic high hills? Why did he live with the aristocrats, right? Surrounded by wealthy white planters. Were they all wealthy white planters? Because we just saw the census in Sumter, and everybody around it was so-called black. As with the vast majority of individuals born into slavery, nearly impenetrable curtain shrouds April's origins and early life. All right, he doesn't know. And impenetrable, he hasn't been able, this author is telling you straight up, he hasn't been able to penetrate the mysterious origins of April and his early life. His tombstone records that he was born in 1790. All right, his tombstone says 1790. Did somebody put that there? His birthplace was probably his owner's plantation, about 40 miles northwest of the high hills in Fairfield District. All right, so again, there is no birth records. There's no records of William buying April. It says that they found that on his tomb. Maybe somebody could have put 1790 on his tomb, carved it in, right? But is that, so that's what they're going off, is basically what I'm letting you know. It says that the hills is an aristocratic place where he moved into. This is a fertile upcountry region lying between the Wateree and Broad rivers. Self-described as a yellow man, a contemporary term for a light-skinned mulatto, the yellow man. April was a mixed racial origins. Since he was a slave, we can be certain his mother was a slave, since he belonged to a white man named Ellison. All right, so again, conjecture. We're going to see why. She probably did too. It says white slave owners named Ellison lived in Fairfield District in 1790. But all that is known of their slaves is their number, making it impossible to determine if a slave woman who could have been April's mother was among them. It's impossible. They're making it up. It's all conjecture. You see what I'm trying to tell you? Conjecture. They are assuming. It is conjecture. They are assuming. Possibly purposely hiding something here, because this was a man of color, the biggest plantation owner in South Carolina. Again, of her ancestry or even her name, we know nothing at all. They don't know anything at all. Now, in the notes, the source for number 5 is the 1790 census schedule in Fairfield District. So, real quick, this is what they're talking about. I wanted to show you. It says here that this is the head of families of the first census of the United States, taken in the year 1790. This is an archive.org. This is by the United States Bureau of Census. All right. And this is the book. I just want to show you what he's saying about white Ellisons living in Fairfield County. This is Robert Ellison. All right. This would be either William Ellison's dad or grandfather, according to what they're telling us. All right. They don't know. So it's slave owner. And again, this is what they're calling free white males, you know. Now, does that mean status? What does that mean? You know, they just label them as white here. When did this all start? The identity of April's father is also obscure. All right. The identity of April's father is also obscure. They don't know. Again, this is the main source. This book we're reading right now, Black Mass, is one of the main sources for William Ellison's story. All right. And he's letting you know, this author, that his mom's, they don't know. His dad, they don't really know. Its father's also obscure. Either a mulatto father or mother could account for April's light complexion. But more likely, April's father was a white man. Either William Ellison, either William Ellison, so all of a sudden he's not from black parents, right? So again, they're saying it's either William Ellison, his dad is either William Ellison, the planter who eventually freed him, or William Ellison's father, Robert Ellison. All right, they don't know. You hear what I'm saying? So what happens? They're doing conjecture. These are opinions because they don't know. So I'm trying to tell you. So what do we go off? If this is our source, when April was born in 1790, Robert Ellison owned 15 slaves on a plantation situated 2 miles from Winsboro. So again, they're grabbing the 1790 year from the tombstone. All right, there's no birth record or anything else. The largest town in Fairfield District, a settlement of 50 or 60 houses. April's mother may have been one of the slaves, may have been, again, conjecture, assuming, may have been conjecture. Robert Ellison was 48 years old in 1790, and his youngest child was not yet 5. His eldest, William, was about 17. Both men lived on the plantation and had the biological capability to father a slave son. So to see what they're telling you right here, they're saying that William was 17, Robert was 40-something, 48, I believe he said. So they could have both been the dad, either of them. William was already 17, he could have done it. They're letting you know in this book, this main source, right, that is their son. He's related to these people. He is an Ellison. He is an Ellison. I'm letting you know right now, he is an Ellison. They're telling you right now. So again, anything else would be conjecture. So if we're going to conjecture, let's at least be logical, right? Let's be logical. He was apprenticed. He took on the family business. What happened to his other son? Why didn't he become a wealthy plantation owner like the so-called slave son? What happened to all the rest of the sons? Why only April became so famous? It says here, April Ellison's 1820s petition for a new name declared that William Ellison had owned him for many years and had freed him. Again, we know fathers owning their children. That happened a lot. That happened a lot. But also, we got to go into that court record to see what it really says. Just when William Ellison acquired April, it's not recorded. They don't have no records of when he bought him, if he really owned him. That's his son or his brother. But it was evidently between 1800 and 1806. Why was it evidently? In 1800, according to the census, William Ellison owned no slaves. In 1800, he didn't have no slaves. 10 years later, he owned 19. Upon his father's death in 1806, William received a bequest of a substantial amount of property, but no slaves. William's younger brothers and sisters inherited the slaves their father owned at the time of his death. And because the will named each slave, we can be certain that April was not among them. He didn't give it to him. All right. William's generous inheritance of land suggests that he was in good standing with his father and thus may have been given some of his father's slaves before 1806. Probably April, probably, they don't know, probably April, and possibly his mother, possibly and probably. Again, what is that? Conjecture, more and more conjecture. I hope you guys are listening to what I'm showing, or at least paying attention to what I'm showing you here. What's going on here, right? It's all conjecture. In 1800, Robert Ellison owned 9 slaves. April could have been one of the 19 slaves. Could have been. He could have been. Could have been more conjecture. Of the 19 slaves, the census enumerated recorded for William Ellison in 1810. Could have been. Or more likely, he was the free person of color listed as living on William Ellison's plantation. So even in that census, there was a free person of color listed. All right. So now we got free people of color living with William Ellison. Where do they come from? If so, April still had the legal status of a slave since he was not formally manumitted until 1816. But by 1810, he may already have begun the transition from slavery to freedom, living de facto as a free man. So maybe it could have been that he actually went to be an apprentice in 1790. Is that when they're saying he became a slave or was born? And he didn't finish his apprenticeship till 1816? Or what's going on here? We got to try to make sense out of all this, right? Because it seems like that's his son, and that he sent him to get a skill, a trade. He sent his son to be very successful. He prepared him for life to be very successful. That's what I'm getting from this. More direct evidence that April's father was either Robert or William Ellison is the exceptional treatment he received while still a slave. Rather than sending the mulatto boy out to the fields with the other slaves, listen to what they're telling you. He never worked the fields. It's either Robert or William's son, April, right? So-called April. See, one of their sins, he was never treated like a slave, even though they're saying they still keep calling him slave here. Rather than sending the mulatto boy to the fields with the other slaves, his master apprenticed him to a trade. Like I was just saying, he was sent to get prepared to carry on the name. The apprenticeship probably began about 1802, probably, when April was 12, which makes it impossible to surmise whether the decision was made by William or his father. But the most telling evidence for the paternity of one of the white Ellisons is that William Ellison eventually freed April. There is no indication that Ellison ever manumitted any other slave, while there is good evidence that something more than April's craft, color, and talent made him special in his master's eyes. William Ellison owned another artisan, a cabinet maker named Julius, whom he sold in Charleston in 1830 for $800. Charleston, remember, Charleston was a free people of color city. We already got all this in past videos. Let's not forget about all this. The handsome price Julius commanded suggests he was a man of considerable talent and makes clear Ellison did not free all his skilled slaves, nor since Julius was a mulatto did Ellison free all his mulatto slaves. Instead, for some reason, Ellison singled out April for manumission. He may well have had several motives for freeing April, but probably an important one was that April was his half-brother or his son, his half-brother or his son, his half-brother or his son. This is the main source for William Ellison's life. This is what I've been trying to show you guys, right? We got to verify all the sources and everything. What are they really telling us? It's all conjecture. He doesn't really know, but he's letting you know it has to be his family. It has to be. All right, so again, William, so-called April Ellison, his wife Matilda right here. Still got to get her parents. We're going to dig into that. So again, they have his father listed here as William Harrison Ellison. Now they're saying he was 17, but if he was born in 1775, as they were saying, that would make him 15. So he was born at least 1773, supposedly, if he was born in 1790. So even that doesn't make sense. Just what I'm letting you know. So they're going off the tombstone of William Ellison. They have 1790 there as a birth date again. And William Ellison, again, either his half-brother or father is the son of Robert Ellison and Elizabeth Potts. Robert Ellison, actually Captain Robert Emmett Ellison, Captain Robert Ellison. He was in the Revolutionary War. Here he is in the 1790 census. All right, Robert Ellison is what they were showing us earlier. He's got some good stories. All right, it says Robert Ellison. This is what I want to show you right here. Let me go over here. This is from another person's tree. This is something that was recorded. All right, it says Robert Ellison from the country of Antrim in Ireland. So the Ellisons come from Ireland. 1742. He married 1772
I know that
Elizabeth
makes
Potts.
you happy, don't it?
So she was also born in Ireland in about 1750. They're both buried at the Ellison Homestead Cemetery, it says. And their kids, all right, and they say William Ellison right here, 1775. William Ellison, supposed dad of April or the half-brother, or another strong possibility is that might be the same person. As stated in chapter 4, Robert Ellison got an English education in Pennsylvania and became a deputy surveyor when he came to South Carolina. After the death of his parents, his name is found on the land plats, and a set of survey instruments is listed among his possessions at his death. There are many pre-revolutionary grants of land recorded for Robert Ellison. All right, he had a lot of grants of land. Why? The earliest date found on these lands transactions was November 1st, 1767. The survey date mentioned in chapter 4, this was for 150 acres on the spring of Little River and was surrounded by vacant land. It was probably the original homestead site. On December 2nd, 1772, just after his marriage to Elizabeth Potts, 400 acres were surveyed for him on Watts Branch of Jackson's Creek. In his will, he states that he lives on the head branches of Jackson's Creek. The old homestead cemetery can be found in a wooden spot off the highway going from Winsboro to Newberry. And Robert's wife is Elizabeth Potts, it says here, is said by tradition to have been the daughter of Thomas Potts of Charleston, but there's no evidence to support this, although the marriage did occur in Charleston. John Bailey Edgar tells of a meeting of a descendant of his sister of Elizabeth Potts, who remained in Ireland. And he said that all of the family, except this married sister, came to South Carolina directly from Ireland. So the Ellison family came to the Carolina upcountry by way of Ireland, Pennsylvania. Originally English, the Ellisons moved across the Irish Sea in the 17th century, settling in the northernmost county of Ireland, County Antrim.
So, Angel,
There in 1742, Robert Ellison had been born. 2 years later, his father, his mother, his sister, and his 4 brothers moved to Pennsylvania, where Robert grew up. After the death of his parents in 1761, Robert and the other Ellison children moved to Fairfield District, South Carolina. Again, so it's all matching the tree that I got. Again, Robert Ellison, Elizabeth Potts. Now, it says here, about 1802, April's master apprenticed him to William McCrae. His master, I thought that was his dad. Remember, the same author said, is either his brother, right, or his dad. So now he's calling him his master. So it says his master apprenticed him to William McCrae, the young white Winsboro gin maker who traveled up country with James Edgar. The McCrae family settled in Fairfield about the same time as the Ellisons. And David McCrae served in Robert Ellison's company during the Revolutionary War. So he was actually under Robert Ellison, Captain Robert Ellison. He was under Robert Ellison. So maybe he respected Robert, right? These are like a family friend. These are like families that know each other, the McCraes and the Ellisons. right? Remember, McCrae is where they sent April to get taught. This was a family, basically friend. He served under Robert Ellison's company during the Revolutionary War, so they knew each other. April worked in McCrae's gin shop until 1816, growing to manhood between the carpenter's bench and the blacksmith's forge. He was fortunate to have an apprenticeship, and he was doubly fortunate to be apprenticed to McCrae, all right? So he was very fortunate, this April. This slave was being treated more like a son. Training in any trade set him apart from most slaves who were consigned to grub their lives away with thick-handled hoes. Few slaves had the chance to work with well-wrought tools in an artisan's shop. Even those lucky enough to be trained in the craft usually received only rudimentary apprenticeships, relatively brief periods of instruction designed to prepare them as rough plantation carpenters, blacksmiths, or masons. April, in contrast, spent as many as 14 years under the tutelage of a master craftsman, learning year by year the ways of a complex trade. Gin making required expertise as a carpenter, a blacksmith, and a machinist, plus the rare ability to integrate the three crafts. April's apprenticeship began his development into a master gin maker. They prepared him for life. Again, so we continue in the book Black Masters, a free family of color in the Old South. And it says here, after he was freed, it says by 1820, or after he was supposedly a freedman or had his money, his own business, it says by 1820, William Ellison, had somehow managed to buy 2 adult male slaves between the ages of 26 and 45, who could be put to work at once. April's transition from slave to master, from slave to slaveholder, was nearly immediate. It was immediate. Almost from the beginning, he built the economic foundation of his freedom on slave labor. All right, so it's ironic that he was freed, he was a slave himself, supposedly, right? And he wanted to get rid of his slave stigma and change his name, right? But he didn't care about being a successful guy off the backs of other people or slave labor. No more than 4 years after he achieved his freedom, April demonstrated that he did not bank at perpetuating a status he detested for himself and his family. He didn't care about doing it to others. If he began to purchase the slaves soon after he arrived in Statesburg, buying them on credit and paying off the debt as he prospered. Then he bought slaves at the same time he bought his wife and daughter out of slavery. He bought his wife and daughter out of slavery by showing that he did not hesitate to own, use, and exploit slave labor. He demonstrated to local whites that although he was a Negro, although he had only recently been a slave himself, he was no more in slavery than they were. All right, so again, conjecture with the whites. What whites? We saw all his neighbors were people of color. For the same year, April moved to Statesburg. Inhabitants of Camden, 20 miles to the north, uncovered extensive plans for a slave insurrection. April Ellison lived a wrenching irony. Having struggled to rescue his family from slavery, he was willing to extend that status to other so-called Afro-Americans or other people of color. He didn't care. At the age of 30, Ellison was a master gin maker, master of himself, and now a slave master. In 4 short years, April Ellison, free man of color, had achieved more worldly success than most white people in the South accomplished in a lifetime. All of a sudden, this guy just came out of nowhere and got more successful than any of them were accomplished in a lifetime. Does that all make sense? He had established himself in the gin trade in the midst of the Piedmont cotton boom. You gotta understand, this was the biggest cotton plantation owner. All right, all those stories about the horrors of the cotton fields and people picking cotton and getting, treated bad. That was him. He was the biggest. He was the biggest there. Right in the midst of the Piedmont cotton boom, and he rode King Cotton just as surely as did the planters. Bold by his attainment and ambitious for more, he petitioned the court in 1820 for a new name. Successful, he was now ready to test the outer limits of white toleration as William Ellison. All right, so all of a sudden he's William Ellison. He decided to move from his current status as a mechanic who maintained another man's gin to that of a full-fledged independent artisan, constructing, selling, and servicing Ellison gins. And we continue in the book Black Masters, a free family of color in the Old South. This is from chapter 2. It's labeled Freedom Bound. And right here in the second paragraph, it says, for almost 2 centuries before the Ellison was born, free Negroes lived in North America. All right? Listen to what they're telling you. So if he was born in 1790, they're telling you that Since 1590, 200 years, 2 centuries, there was already free Negroes living in North America. Since 1590. You hear what they're telling you? They accompanied the early European explorations as adventurers, sailors, and settlers. They were actually settlers who free Negroes. They were what? Adventurers. They were the pirates. They were the shipbuilders. They were the sailors, the captains, and settlers, the colonists. You hear? This is correlation to what we've been learning. Among the indentured servants who served out their terms in the tobacco fields of the Chesapeake Bay region in the 17th century were Negroes. All right. It was also Negroes as indentured servants who, like their white counterparts, just like the white Europeans who came as indentured servants in the tobacco fields, became land-owning farmers and participants in the local affairs of society. Again, do you understand what they're telling you here? There was so-called black Europeans coming and working, black Europeans as indentured servants, along with their pale-skinned brethren from Europe, right? And they would what? Get their freedom dues after they complete their service, their indentured servitude, right? And then they became what? Land-owning farmers and participating in the local affairs of society, becoming slaveholders, right? Plantation owners too, who? Free Negroes. 200 years before 1790, they're letting you know. All right, just to correlate right here on Ancestry.com, it says William Holmes April, Ellison II. Just want to read this part down here. And it says that when the war between the states broke out in 1861, William Ellison Jr., again, Jr., his dad, William Ellison, right, was one of the staunchest supporters of the Confederacy. His grandson joined a Confederate artillery unit, and William turned his plantation over from cotton cash crop production to farming foodstuff for the Confederacy. William Ellison Jr. died on 5th December 1861 at the age of 71, and per his wishes, his family continued to actively support the Confederacy throughout the war. Aside from producing corn, fodder, bacon, corn shucks, and cotton for the Confederate Army, they contributed vast amounts of money, paid $5,000 in taxes, and invested a good portion of their fortune into Confederate bonds, which were worthless at the end of war. You can find all this info in that book we just read from. William Ellison Jr. had died with an estate appraised at $43,500, consisting of 70 slaves. His will stated that his estate should pass into the joint hands of his daughter and his 2 surviving sons. He bequeathed $500 to a slave daughter he had sold. At his death, he was one in the top 10% of the wealthiest people in all South Carolina, was in the top 5% of land ownership, and he was the 3rd largest slave owner in the entire state. We're in this other website, slaverebellion.info. All right, it says here the Slave Rebellion website, and they're talking about the black slave owners. So it says here, William Ellison, April, right? His whole story again. He was emancipated, blah, blah, blah. Now it says right here, to William Ellison, slaves were a source of labor. This ideology helps to explain why there was a ratio male to female of 4-to-1 in the 1860s. The male slaves were a direct source of income. The females were future benefits. Assuming that the women produced children at a ratio of 1 boy to 1 girl, the best explanation for a shortage of girls is that they were sold as slaves. The average price for a slave girl was $400, and selling 20 girls would add additional $8,000 cash, which would contribute to the land and slave purchase. This silent tradition around state birth was not questioned, but his reputation as a harsh master, his reputation, another source, was talked about. His slaves were said to be the district's worst fed and clothed. Ellison and his family lived frugally. He was even more tight-fisted about providing food, clothes, and housing for his slaves. His harsh treatment may have come from the fact that his slaves were very bitter because the men and women had seen their daughters sold away into slavery. Also, the harsh treatment could have been from Ellison's need to prove to the whites that he was not soft on slaves because of his color. Sometimes his slaves ran away, and on the least one occasion he hired a slave catcher. He never skipped on a medical care for his slaves, but he did not care to help their spiritual needs. Through all the years, William Ellison may have been harsh on his slaves, but the money they produced helped keep his family well-to-do up until the Civil War. In 1829, he purchased 2 more male slaves between the ages 12 and 24. Early in the 1830s, Ellison started using his sons as gin makers, but there was still more work than the men could handle. At the end of the decade, Ellison now owned 36 slaves. 30 were males and 6 females, who mostly worked the fields and produced children. bred slaves for him. The census at this time had Ellison with 14 slaves. As his ownership of slaves grew, so did his land, buying over 350 acres in that 10-year span. By his 50th birthday in 1840, William had reached a plateau that few whites, let alone blacks, had ever reached. In the early 1840s, his sons and daughters married mulattoes from Charleston and came to live on the Ellison plantation. His sons became slave owners with the help of their father. The slaves were from the Ellison family and were just passed down to the next generation. These slaves were not income-producing slaves, but rather house servants. By 1860, Ellison increased his slave population from 36 in 1850 to 30 to 63, an increase of 75%. That year in the census, he reported that his total worth was just over $61,000, which was very low for the property and personal slaves that he owned. The man who started out life as a slave achieved financial success. His wealth was 90% greater than his white neighbors in Sumter District. In the entire state, only 5% owned as much real estate as Ellison. His wealth was 15 times greater than that of the state's average for whites, and Ellison owned more than 99% of the South's slave holders. He never achieved a monopoly in slavery, but was the highest producing slave owner in the county. Without slaves, Ellison could never gotten past the income of a tradesman. With the slaves, he accomplished the security of no other. Although a successful slave owner and cotton farmer, Ellison's major source of income came from slave breeding. All right. Throughout the South, slave breeding was looked down on with disgust. He began slave breeding in 1840. Females were not productive workers in his factory or cotton fields, so he only kept a few women for breeders and sold most of his females. He had the reputation of being a harsh master. His slaves were the worst fed and clothed. He maintained on his property a windowless building where he chained his problem slaves. His slaves were listed among the runaways because of his harsh treatment. Having started life out as a slave did not make him sensitive to their needs because he saw his slaves as no more than property. And again, was he really a slave? He's being apprenticed. Remember, he didn't never work the field, so he doesn't know what it's like. On one occasion, Ellison hired the service of a slave catcher, according to an account by Robert N. Andrews, a white man who had purchased a small hotel in Stabrook and in the 1820s hunted down one of his valuable slaves in Belleville, Virginia. He stated, "I was paid $77, returning the slave, and $74 for expenses." All right, so again, they're telling you here that during the Civil War, the Ellison family actively participated and supported the Confederacy throughout the war. A lot of the Confederates were so-called black people. A lot of the Republicans were so-called black people. All right. They lied to us about the percentages. They lied to us about how many black slave owners there were. And they're lying to us about all these people who are they calling white. A lot of them are not white. All right. We're going to start finding this out as the years go by. All right. So before we finish, I want to read this article here from the Tampa Bay Times. An archive written in 2005 by Tim Grant. It says, Dr. Ellison's family secret is free at last. The secret is free at last. The end of times, the books will be unsealed. The truth will be revealed, right? It says, people here know Dr. Henry S. Ellison III as the given doctor. He was volunteered for so many boards, done so much to help so many people. They sometimes wonder how he found time for doctoring. The first black doctor in Youngstown, black people admire him for opening doors and so many others. What none of them know is Dr. Ellison's secret, something he kept to himself, something he did not want to be identified with. But now at age 71, with lung cancer spreading to his brain, Dr. Ellison says it's time to talk about his great-grandfather, the slave owner. William Ellison is believed to have been the wealthiest black slave master in the antebellum South, wealthiest, owning more slaves than all but the richest white planters. Memoirs from times suggest he did not treat his slaves well. All right. The stories, all the accounts written from those times, he didn't treat his slaves well. William Ellison's slaves were said to be the most overworked, underfed, and ill-clothed in the district. All right. Tampa Bay Times. No, this is not something Dr. Ellison has wanted to talk about. A time and a place. Growing up in North Carolina during the Great Depression, Dr. Ellison wondered why his family's lifestyle was better than other black families in Greensboro. Why are we so rich? But his questions about his family went unanswered. My mother used to protect me from that since I was the youngest, he said. As he grew older, he learned that several members of his family made money buying and selling other black people, using them as slaves. This came into my life about the time civil rights came about, and I know nobody would be wanting to brag about blacks owning other blacks, he said. About the time I found out was when everybody was looking into their heritage and how blacks had been mistreated. You know where I found out most of my family's history? He said. When I got married, my mother told my wife. My father never talked at all about his family. If it was up to him, I would have never have even known I was born. He does not conceal his resentment that so much about his great grandfather was kept secret from him. Had he known about his great grandfather earlier, he had might have modeled his life after him. By the time I found out everything, I was a man, and my life's pattern was already set. Ellison's 70-year-old wife, Tina, also has his own forced him to close his obstetrics practice 5 years ago. This day, he said he's in the worst pain he's felt in weeks, but he doesn't cancel his appointment with a reporter. It's important to get this out. The main thing I like for people to know is you can't take something that happened years ago and equate it to what's happening now, he said, all right? All right, it's not your fault what happened in the past. All right. You have to take everything according to the time in which it was done. The whites were doing the same thing. All right. The whites were doing it. The blacks could do it too, I guess, right? That's what he's saying. Anytime my great grandfather may have done, he did because he conformed to the ways and norms of that particular era. He was probably a pretty nice individual, probably. Continuing says that continuing further down says at the start of the Civil War, William Ellison owned 63 slaves and an 800-acre plantation. He hired slave catchers to hunt down those who ran away. He had slave catchers. He even sold his slaves female children, apparently because they were no use to his cotton gin business. He didn't care. He was cruel, separating families. All right, all skinfolk ain't kinfolk. Remember, these are Irish, most likely, black Irish. He died in 1861, but his descendants continued to live in the house in Statesburg, South Carolina until 1923. 12 years after the house was sold, three little girls playing outside stumbled across a wooden crate hidden beneath the porch. Inside was a collection of Malden letters written by Ellison family members. The letters talked of politics, gossip, and of course, the management of the family's slaves. Descendants of this family had guarded their past and one by one carried it to their graves. But now, thanks to the letters, the secret was out. And a tough spot, two historians used the Ellison family letters as a basis for a book called Black Masters. All right, the book we just read. James Rourke of Emory University and Michael Johnson of Johns Hopkins University used the letters to reconstruct the family history. During the early 1980s, the historians tracked down one surviving member of the Ellison family, a doctor who lived in Youngstown, Ohio. I talked to the receptionist in his office on several occasions, but the doctor would never respond, Rourke said. Family history is always dangerous business. We were poking around in people's private lives, and there are some things people don't want told. We encountered a great deal of sensitivity. This family is complex because of their history. Is William Ellison a man to be celebrated or ashamed of? It's an amazing story of achievement under the most difficult circumstances, but then he knew what slavery was all about, and he was willing to implicate others. Some would say his crime is greater than that of the whites. That's deep right there. I didn't say it. The Ellisons were hardly the only black masters in the antebellum South. They weren't the only ones. Census records in 1860 showed there were 122 free blacks in Charleston who owned slaves. Remember, Charleston was a free people of color city. We've gotten this in the past videos. We know South Carolina is a huge Huguenot um, landing spot. We know what happened in South Carolina, where most of the Indian slaves were exported and any other slave exported out of the United States during that time. All right, in South Carolina, who was going there and doing that? Most of them owned only one or two slaves. None owned as many as William Ellison. Black Masters was published 10 years ago. Johnson said even today, most people don't realize black people own black people. Even today, in 2020, you hearing this right now, a lot of you, I didn't know. A lot of you, that's not true. You're making all this up. For whites in contemporary society, the notion of black masters is a message of relief because now we know that whites weren't the only ones, Johnson said. It removes a little of the sense of guilt. So Johnson wanted to prove there was black owners. That's why the only reason he did it. So he can put the blame on others as well. So he felt a little better. History puts humans in tough spots, and William Ellison was in a very tough spot. It's easier for us to judge him than be in his shoes. He had a lot of admirable qualities.
With the Wells Fargo Active Cash Credit Card, earn unlimited 2% cash back on purchases you want, like dance lessons.
Ow, ow, ow.
And on what you need, like memory foam inserts. That's real life ready. Visit wellsfargo.com/activecash. Terms apply.
Man, I'm speechless. Sorry. Nez is gone now. Oh, Angel, where'd you go, girl? Man, so there it was. The greatest dude. Whoa, wow. Yep. So I got asked to see if I could find some Meg Abuser, my son. So I did. So let me get him loaded up here while I see about this next screen or something, right? So what do y'all think about that? The biggest plantation owner. It ain't even 9 o'clock yet. Let's go with some yo. This is my son's attempt at being a bars hip hop artist. Here we go. Doing bars.
When you like to address me, set the terms, and I'll be sure to burn thermal nuke like your catalog ain't fireproof. It ain't suggested to test freshness, spawn from repressed aggression, and second guessing will get you gangplanked, domer. The defender of the zone of enders is hell bent on cinders, fucking your backer. This ain't a game, and I'm not here to put up a shot block, and I'm sure as fuck not to be mocked or talked about. Cock boys to deploy the reserves and get this circle jerking on a work in progress. The axles with catalyst, protagonist, masochist, manuscript, maniacs, gone mental, and the torment won't be accidental. The element of surprise personified, turning halos into bow ties. Meg abusive, the variable pair to no known coefficient, transition to span distances uncharted on a return flight from martyrdom. It appears that I've outsmarted him. Meg abusive, the variable pair to no known coefficient, transition to span distances uncharted on a return flight from martyrdom. It appears that I've outsmarted him. I'm tickled fuchsia that you should hold me in such high esteem. I mean, it's always been such a goal of mine to inspire sadistic daydreams, acting as if I can't infiltrate the mainstream just because I've been secluded to the bay scene. I'm off the wriggle for shiggle, for shits and giggles, and it's a whole lot simpler than I make it look, little pickle. Get trumped and truncated, trying to play Mr. Educated. Flying by the seat of my pants, flipping the bird from a cockeyed cockpit with a dirt bomb and a smart rocket hovering above your next project. The survival rate expected to be non-existent. In closing, I'd just like to thank you for the invitation to thank you. Perhaps you ought to be more careful about the battles you provoke vocally. While we may never cross paths, don't get caught performing locally. Mag abusive, the variable paired to no coefficient. Transition to span distances uncharted. On a return flight from martyrdom, it appears that I've outsmarted them. Mag abusive, the variable paired to no coefficient. Transition to span distances uncharted. On a return flight from martyrdom, it appears that I've outsmarted them.
Okay, my friends, that's it for tonight. I think I've done all I could do. I'm sure y'all got other places and things to do. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming out tonight, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Good night.
Party won't wait, running through these lights at a NASCAR pace. Under city lights with some stunners on my face. I'm on tonight, feeling as fresh as my paint. Fresh candy paint on dubs, riding through your city, what's up? I'm on tonight, riding through those city lights. Fresh candy paint on dubs, headed to a party, what's up? I'm on tonight, vibing in those city lights. Fresh candy paint on dubs. With a hottie up I'm on tonight, partying under city lights. Fresh candy paint on dubs, bumping on a bleed, yes sir. I'm on tonight, vibing under city lights. Arm out the window, asking hottie her name. Offer her a ride and sit her next to me. Enjoy the city life, just don't OD. Caught up under city life, just like me. Headed to a party while she puffs on beat. Pull around the corner, see the party on the Ave. We party on the city lights, dancing in the street. Doors open, time smoking, speakers on bleed. Fresh candy paint on dubs, riding through your city, what's up? I'm on tonight, riding through those city lights. Fresh candy paint on dubs, headed to a party, what's up? I'm on tonight, vibing in those city lights. Fresh candy paint on dubs, sitting with a hottie up I'm on tonight, partying under city lights. Fresh candy paint on dubs, bumping on a bleed, yes sir. I'm on tonight, vibing under city lights. Dancing in the street with the car still rolling, smelling like a skunk cause the bleed's still going. Under city lights till the sky turn morning. Speakers on boom till the lights stop blowing. We body rock till the cops patrolling. Jealous of the candy and the chrome that's showing. Fresh candy paint on dubs, playing boasting. I'm on tonight, leaving all my haters toasted. Fresh candy paint on dubs, riding through your city, what's up? I'm on I'm on tonight, vibing in no city lights, fresh candy paint on dubs, sitting with a hottie up. I'm on tonight, partying under city lights, fresh candy paint on dubs, pumping on a beat, yes sir. I'm on tonight, vibing under city lights.
Oh, there you are. Boy, you got a nice, strong connection back here now, don't you?
Papa?
Yeah.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Finally, all the time.
The trouble I had, it was unbelievable.
I know, I see. You know, it's a good thing it was my show. You know, I've been here sailing this ship right along for you and just held on to you, didn't I?
In the end, I was like, I'm going to miss the whole show, so I'm just sitting here and listening.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
wondering though,
Yeah.
do you think, when I researched the Black Irish, I'm sure that name, Ellis, was one of the names that was over there.
Your name was?
Ellis.
Huh?
So I'm wondering, when I done some research, I can't be 100%, but I'm almost sure that the name Ellis was with the Black Irish.
Yeah. Huh. You should look up my name. You should look up my name over there. Probably be way a lot easier for you. I love you to death if you could make this work. You should look up my last name or my name, Lyas. Lyas.
See, Elias, I'm wondering if that comes from like the kind of Turkish Elias. Is it Turkish or Greek? I'm not too sure. But Elias and Eli and Elias, I think, I'm not too sure if it was Turkish or Greek, because I know a few Turkish and Greek people that have the name Elias, but they use it as a first name. And
I wouldn't doubt it.
And from what I know, with the Irish, because we had the famine and everything like that, a lot of us were stupid enough to sell ourselves into slavery, thinking that we would buy ourselves back. So where everyone was dying back at home, they ended up on the boats, but they went all over the place. So they was literally everywhere and being sold into slavery. But then what they'll do is they'll then try to keep them in slavery by putting them into more debt and stuff like that. And a lot of them didn't make it out because they died. So similar, but we actually sold ourselves into slavery because we needed the money. So we thought, you know, that will give us money back home. And I'll get back to my family. Once I've paid that debt, I'll make my way back home. But some was sort of like used to, as they put, like as if it was like a breeding farm and stuff like that. So, and that's how the Black Irish come about, because they did that to both of us. So I'm wondering if this guy was actually a part of or something to do with, like perhaps it's a long stretch and it's only a guess, but if he possibly was part of the Black Irish or something similar, you know, like where the Irish went. I mean, the Irish were all over the world. They were sold and put wherever they could be and used for sex slavery, all sorts of things. But I'm wondering if, in a way, even from the Middle East, I'm not too sure if I got that right. See, I've got to brush up on my history, Papa.
Yeah. You know, I do that every day.
He might have actually come over and he could have been mixed race or he could have been black.
Well, that's what it said in the reading.
Yeah.
That his father could have been light-skinned because, you know, they kept talking about him being light-skinned.
Uh-huh. So I'm wondering if that was kind of like, I need to brush up on my history. My Irish history, but like as he was saying that was my initial thoughts. And then he's kind of said it, and that makes me wonder if possibly I'm right on that fact. But to me, it's like his family shouldn't hold any guilt because the guilt would have been with him.
Well, that's there was no guilt.
Sorry, Papa.
There was no guilt. You saw in their reading, there was no guilt about them from wherever they was from. At least it didn't show up in any of the readings that KUREMIO did.
Exactly, and there shouldn't be.
I'm sure there was other moments of life, though.
I can understand why his family hid it for a while, but I think more like you say if you're born into wealth, you're frightened of losing it. So if other generations thought, well, this is where our wealth comes from, so this is what we've got to stay with, then they, as he said, they would have carried it on. And the thing is, like people that come from nothing, they're not afraid so much to lose it. So that's, I don't know, that's why I think perhaps people that were in that situation were more inclined to, they wouldn't allow that to happen. Not everyone, you would have had the odd narcissist or something like that, but not everyone would have allowed that to happen, black or white. And because they come from nothing, like, so they're not frightened, what are they going to lose, you know? And they know they can survive on nothing because they've done it all their lives. But then someone who... Sorry,
Is the show still going?
I don't think
because I just looked up there and it said end stream. I thought I had ended the stream, and that Angel and I were sitting here in the back room talking on the after party.
No, but that's that. But I don't think anyone today should hold guilt and say, you know, perhaps my great-great-grandfather, even though he was a slave himself, bought himself out and had slaves, they shouldn't have guilt. You'd have to get to know that person and why they did what they did. It was a terrible, awful thing, but like, why did he do that? Did he keep that status so he could free other slaves? Did he use that to help other people? Or did he just not give a damn? Then
well, you see, it said he became the largest, so he helped somebody.
Yeah.
He didn't take it to his grave with him. I think in there it said that he gave both his sons a business or some slaves and said, "Here, see you later." Didn't it? Didn't
He
it say
just got
that in there
rich off.
somewhere?
Yeah, he did.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Hmm.
Perhaps we could look more into him and find out more about his actual story.
Yeah, I can find out some more Irish stuff for you, Gypsy.
I'm sure that name Ellis, because we have Ellis. We have Ellis in Ireland, and that's
Ellis is a known name.
we have Ellises.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we have a lot of Ellises. I don't know if it derives from Ireland, but we have that name. Elias now, I'm sure that's more like Greek, Turkish, not too sure. But Lias could be a sort of like derived from Elias.
It could be, or originally spelled Layas, and an A somewhere disappeared out of it.
See,
The Filipinos know that word.
Yeah.
That's a word. Yeah, Elias is a verb to Filipino people. Means
And
to go away.
I'm sure Elias is like a Greek or Turkish. I'm sure it's Greek. Well, I'm not sure, but I'm almost sure. I have to take a look into it.
Mm-hmm. That would be nice to know too.
But I'm sure Ellis, because I'm sure when I watched a video on the Black Irish, I was looking and I was like, that could be my grandma. But her face is just slightly darker, you know.
Uh-huh.
But the features, even sort of with the Jamaican accent is very similar to the Irish accent.
And the Irish are descendants of who?
Oh, Papa, now you're testing me. Jesus Christ. Adam and Eve.
Yep.
So I'm going to give an answer. It'll be the right one. Jesus Christ and Adam and Eve. But
Christianity. Y'all involved from Christianity, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to go to Jamaica.
Huh?
I'd love to go to Jamaica.
Me too.
For a holiday.
Oh.
That was very interesting though, Papa.
Huh?
That was very interesting and very educating.
Thank you. I do my best.
You're welcome, Papa. Thank you for the education.
But I'm going to sign off now because I got tired.
Okay, boss. You take care.
I love
God
you.
bless, sweetheart. Love you too, boss.
See you next time. All right, y'all. That's it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.